Very welcome back. It is one of the cold cases that has haunted Ireland for decades, the disappearance of Annie McCarrick in 1993. Now, for the first time, a man has been arrested in connection with her case.
Joining us to discuss the latest developments is Paul Quinn from Virgin Media News and former detective and author Alan Bailey, who is involved in the investigation, as well as many of the country's most high-profile cases. Gents, good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us. Paul, viewers will have seen you covering this story in the 5:30 and 7 o'clock news yesterday. Bring us the latest in the developments, because I think people were shocked to see another missing woman case. You were only just talking about Fiona Pender in the last couple of weeks.
Fiona Pender was just 2 weeks ago, and now we're talking about Annie McCarrick. So just for, I suppose, to remind viewers, Annie McCarrick was 26 years old when she went missing. She was an American. She'd come here to Ireland on a school trip. Her parents said she fell in love with the country. She came back to study in St. Pat's in Drumcondra, Maynooth in the late 1980s, and then moved permanently to Dublin in January 1993. She was working as a waitress and she was living in Sandymount. 3 months after she came to live here, she vanished without a trace, and she's never been seen since. And yesterday, it was really significant, I think, the developments yesterday. We saw a man arrested for the very first time in this investigation. A man in his 60s. He was arrested by detectives from Irish Town Garda Station. He's still being questioned this morning. And I think the fact that this is the first arrest, I think people will be shocked at that as well, given that this is now over 32 years ago. The other development is a house in Clondalkin is also being searched. So that was seized by Gardaí. There's hoarding up outside the house. There's a mini digger. Equipment have been brought in. And Gardaí say that over the coming days that will be fully forensically examined, the house and the back garden. So yeah, significant developments.
Yeah, they also have a flight ban over the house as well, haven't they?
Yeah, this is something that they've recently started doing with major searches like this. It also happened in the Fiona Pender investigation, the investigation for the little boy Kyron Dernan in Dundalk as well. It just stops people from flying drones and trying to find out exactly what's happening, just to give them the time and the space just to try and do their job and do it right.
Of course.
Alan, you worked on this case originally at the time of the disappearance, and it was very chilling, I think, the manner in which she disappeared. Tell us about the grocery shopping and how you were able to see her last movements and where she'd been.
Annie had gone shopping earlier that morning. The morning she disappeared to buy some items, grocery items. She was preparing a meal for friends for the Saturday night, and in addition she was doing some cooking that she was going to bring into the restaurant she worked in. She used to cook pastries for the restaurant. So she did her shopping in a local supermarket and then brought it back to the house, left the shopping inside the door of the apartment, intending to go out for a brief walk and come back and put it away.
And she just was never seen again.
Never came, yeah.
And in your time in An Garda Síochána, you were the national coordinator of Operation Trace. What was the purpose of that operation? Okay,
Operation Trace was set up in 1998 by the Garda Commissioner, and the purpose was to examine the case of a number of missing females. I suppose we were looking for commonalities to establish if there was a serial killer in operation. Now, it's a chilling thought, but just a few years before that, we had two serial killers, Shaw and Evans, who arrived in from England, and they abducted and murdered two girls before they were arrested. So it was a possibility.
Yeah. Paul, in terms of what's happening at the moment, who is Annie survived by? Like, what family are being notified of these developments? Because this is deeply distressing for them, obviously.
Oh, yeah. And Annie's mother, Nancy, still lives in Long Island in New York. I was actually just messaging her last night. And obviously she's waiting to see what happens from these latest developments before really saying anything too much. But she was saying the support that she's been getting from Ireland really means a lot. And I think, Alan, you would have dealt with the family down through the years as well. And especially them being so far away in New York, they've really relied on the support of the Irish people. Her dad, John, has died. But she has so many friends she grew up with in New York, friends from here as well. And I think it's so difficult for them not knowing and not having those answers, especially for a mother or a father who doesn't know what exactly happened to their child. And where are they? And she was 26. She was only 26 when she went missing. It's heartbreaking.
Alan, can I ask? So you worked on this case originally over 32 years ago. Is this unusual for a big development like this to happen so far into a cold case?
No, that's the whole cold cases. Time shouldn't matter.
Okay.
This was upgraded to a murder investigation 2 years ago. Now, Operation Trace had asked as long ago as the year 2000 that it be upgraded to a murder investigation. It gives you totally different powers of investigation to have it classified as murder. And this is a result of a team being set up 2 years ago when it was declared a murder. And it's culminated now in this arrest.
Yeah, there's much more resources, I suppose, Alan was saying, in a murder investigation. So Gardaí can, seek warrants, searches, phone records. There's much more money and manpower put into a murder investigation. It puts the focus back on it, and it allows Gardaí to go out there and to make, renewed appeals for information as well. And particularly in this investigation, Gardaí saying that, look, they may have spoken to somebody in the past 30 years ago. For whatever reason, maybe somebody couldn't give them the full picture of what they knew or what they didn't know. Now, with the passage of time, things move on. People's mindset changes, their relationships with people change, and maybe now that they're in a position to come forward and actually tell them if there is something more that they know that perhaps could lead to a breakthrough in this case.
But the house that they're searching in Clondalkin, I mean, obviously very clear the family that live there now, absolutely no connection, but it's been extensively renovated. When work has gone on in a house, how much optimism can there be really that something significant will be found?
Well, I suppose Gardaí will be saying that they're doing their job. They have, there's obviously a reason they're chosen this house. And as you say, it's important to say the current tenant's no way connected to Annie or her disappearance. But they obviously feel that there is reasonable grounds to move into this house, to seal it off, to do quite an invasive search of the house and the back garden. Like there's equipment for, cutting concrete. There's a mini digger in there. There's, they will have to do what they want to do and what they need to do to try and get evidence which could lead to some answers about where Annie is and exactly what happened to her.
And Alan, you've written a book about the cases of the missing women in Ireland in the 90s, cases that kind of captured the nation's attention. They've been in Netflix documentaries. In retirement, I can only imagine that these cases still stay with you.
Still stay with you. And it's the failure to solve them and to bring some closure to families that you feel, that will always stay with you. I was speaking to Annie's mother in 2011. That was the last time I spoke to her before I retired. And she was saying at that stage, all I want is my daughter home, that it has some place to go and say a prayer, to kneel and grieve beside.
Absolutely.
That's what it means to families.
Well, hopefully this investigation leads to some answers. And obviously, Paul, you'll be back down today at our Town Garda station.
Yeah, so we'll just be keeping people up to date. The man is still being questioned. His period of detention was extended last night for the final time. So at some point later today, Gardaí will have to decide whether they have enough evidence to charge or to release him.
Brilliant. Paul Quinn and Alan Bailey, thanks so much for joining us today.